Her phone lit up on the table while she was in the shower. One notification. Just one. Thanks for staying with us again. 5th night this month. Hilton honors. We'd never stayed in a Hilton. Not once. Not together. So why the hell was her app thanking her for 5 nights this month? I picked it up. Unlocked it. I didn't even feel guilty. And that's when I saw it. 12 stays total. Same hotel. Same location. Every Friday. She told me she was having lunch with Madison. But the app told me something else. She wasn't having lunch. She was ing someone. And not just anyone. Her ex. Mark. The one she swore was just a friend. The one I asked about a dozen times. The one she laughed off with a little smirk and said, "You're being paranoid." She thought I'd never check. She thought the truth would stay buried under her perfect little lies. But the app told me everything. And that's when I started planning the scene. The one where I'd bring the truth out in public. Where she couldn't lie. Couldn't run. Couldn't hide. Because this wasn't going to end with a text message or a tearful confession at home. No. This was going to end in a restaurant. In front of him. In front of everyone. It didn't start with the hotel app. The app was just the final nail. The thing that made everything click together like a sick puzzle I didn't want to solve. But the signs? They'd been there for weeks. Months maybe. I just didn't want to see them. It began small, like it always does. A missed call here. A vague excuse there. A late lunch turning into, "I'll be home after yoga." Then the name Madison started showing up more and more. Madison this. Madison that. Oh, Mads and I are trying this new wine bar. Madison booked a massage for both of us downtown. Lunch with Mads, you know how she talks my ear off. I knew Madison. Met her once. Quiet. Shy. Didn't even drink wine. But I didn't push. Because Rachel was slick. And when she lied, it came out smooth. Relaxed. Wrapped in a laugh that made you feel stupid for even asking. "Seriously, Matt? You're acting jealous again," she said one night when I asked why her phone was always face down. "Are we in high school?" And that was the trick. She never lied with panic. She lied with confidence. With a smirk. Like she'd already rehearsed 10 backup stories in case I poked too close to the truth. But something felt off. The way she dressed before these girls' lunches. The way she took longer showers afterward. The way she suddenly started wearing perfume she hadn't touched in 2 years. The one she used back when we first met. And there was something else too. Distance. You can feel it before you understand it. She stopped touching me. Stopped laughing at my jokes. Stopped caring about the small stuff. And when I kissed her, it felt like kissing someone mid-exit, like her mind was already somewhere else. Or with someone else. But I said nothing. Because part of me didn't want to break what was left. And part of me was still stupid enough to believe her. Until that night on the couch. She handed me her phone like she had nothing to hide. Maybe she thought I wouldn't notice the Hilton app. Maybe she forgot the notifications were turned on. Maybe she was just getting sloppy. Either way, she handed me the match and stood back while I burned everything down. When I opened the Hilton app, I expected spam. What I got was a full itinerary of betrayal. 12 stays. Same hotel. Each Friday. Check-in, noon. Check-out, 3 p.m. Every week. Like clockwork. I opened the map. The hotel was 2 blocks from that fancy vegan cafe she claimed Madison was obsessed with. Then I checked her calendar. She'd marked every Friday lunch with M. And it hit me like a punch to the chest. M wasn't Madison. M was Mark. Her ex. The one she reconnected with after that class reunion dinner. The one she bumped into by chance. The one she said she hadn't spoken to in years. Liar. And that's when I remembered something else. 2 months ago, I caught her smiling at her phone. One of those real smiles, the kind I hadn't seen aimed at me in a long time. I asked what was funny. She said, "Oh, just a meme Madison sent me." There was no meme. That smile wasn't for Madison. It was for him. And now I had the proof. But I wasn't going to yell. Or accuse. Or beg for answers. I wasn't going to ask her to explain what kind of friend meets you in a hotel every Friday afternoon while your husband thinks you're eating overpriced quinoa with your bestie. No. I was going to watch her unravel. Publicly. I started planning. Quietly. Made dinner reservations at the exact restaurant she always said she and Madison loved. I knew the timing. I knew the rhythm. And most importantly, I knew she was meeting him that Friday. I just had to let her walk straight into it. Because this time, I wouldn't be the one wondering. She would. And when the time came, I'd be sitting across from her. Waiting. Friday came fast. I spent the day calm. Focused. I wasn't pacing. I wasn't nervous. I was ready. Because when you've got the truth, and they're still clinging to a lie, the game's already won. I booked a corner table at Vincent's, the upscale Italian spot downtown. Her favorite. Also, the same place she met Madison 2 weeks ago, which I now knew was another Friday with her ex. Her schedule was predictable. I'd studied it like a script. Reservation was for 2. I arrived early. The waiter came by. I slipped him 100 and said, "Whatever happens in the next hour, don't get involved unless someone bleeds." He nodded like he'd seen worse. I ordered a bottle of wine she used to love. Set my phone on the table, camera ready, not for evidence, but for memory. Because tonight wasn't about catching her. That part was over. Tonight was about showing her what it looks like when a mask falls in public. I watched the entrance. 6:56 p.m. She walked in. Black heels. Tight maroon dress. Hair done like it was a second date, not a marriage in shambles. Smiling. That smile. But she wasn't alone. He walked behind her, Mark. Taller than I remembered. Fake confident. Wearing a blazer over a black t-shirt like he was some low-budget movie star. They didn't see me at first. She grabbed his arm as they waited to be seated, whispered something into his ear and laughed. He smiled back, completely unaware he was about to have the worst dinner of his life. I stood up, walked toward them, calm as death. She turned, and everything froze. Her smile dropped. Her hand slipped off Mark's arm. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. "Hey, Rachel," I said, voice low. "Didn't think I'd see you here." Again. Mark looked confused. "Who's this?" I turned to him. "I'm her husband." He stepped back like he got hit by a truck. "What the hell?" Rachel tried to recover. "Matt, this isn't what it looks like." "Really?" I pulled out my phone. "Because your hotel app says otherwise." I tapped the screen. Held it up for both of them. 12 stays. Hilton. Downtown. Every Friday. Points earned. 28,650. Mark's face went pale. "Wait. What?" Rachel stammered. "Matt, can we please not do this here?" "Oh, you don't want a scene?" I said. "That's funny. Because you've been rehearsing one for months." People were starting to turn their heads. A couple at the next table paused mid-bite. The hostess behind the podium froze. The waiter I tipped gave me a subtle nod. He knew this was the moment. Mark looked at her. "You said you were divorced." I raised an eyebrow. "Oh, so that was the lie." She snapped. "Stop it. Both of you. You're embarrassing me." I stepped closer. "You embarrassed yourself, Rachel. Every Friday. Every damn time you smiled in my face, then ran to him like some cheap thrill." Mark looked sick. "You told me you were done with him." "You told me." She cut him off. "You weren't supposed to be here, Matt." That's when I laughed. Actually laughed. "No," I said. "You weren't supposed to get caught. But here we are." She grabbed her clutch. "I'm leaving." "No," I said, stepping aside. "You're not walking out with either of us." She stormed out. He followed a few seconds later, calling her name. But she didn't turn around. I stayed. Finished the wine. Took a breath. The waiter came by and asked if I wanted dessert. I told him to bring tiramisu, her favorite. He came back, set it down, and said quietly, "Damn." She didn't even flinch. I shook my head. "Nope." She didn't say sorry. "Nope." She didn't even cry. "Nope." I took a bite. It was dry, just like her excuses. 3 days passed before I heard from her again. I thought she might come home the night of the restaurant. That maybe she'd show up at the door crying, apologizing, begging. But Rachel? No. She disappeared into whatever hole she and her lies crawled out from. She didn't even pack her things. No calls. No texts. Until Monday, 9:13 a.m. "Can we talk?" I stared at the message for a solid minute. The nerve. The audacity. After getting exposed in front of a packed restaurant. After dragging her ex into the middle of our marriage like I was too dumb to figure it out. After lying about Madison, the hotel, and everything else. She wanted to talk. I didn't reply. 5 hours later, another message. "Please." I wasn't thinking clearly. I made mistakes. I don't want this to be how we end. This is exactly how we end, I thought. That night, she came home. I heard her key in the lock like it was just another Tuesday. She walked in wearing sunglasses and some oversized hoodie, like she could hide behind comfort now that reality had chewed her up and spit her out. She stood in the doorway like a ghost trying to remember the shape of her own home. "Matt," she said softly, "I know I messed up, but I need to explain." I stood across the room, arms folded. "No," I said. "You need to listen." She tried to speak again, But I cut her off. You didn't just cheat, Rachel. You lived a double life. You plotted it, protected it. You lied to my face while texting him from across our damn kitchen table. She took off the sunglasses. Red eyes. No makeup. The performance had started. I didn't mean for it to happen. Stop. She froze. Don't say that. Don't insult both of us. You planned those hotel meetups. You made time for them. You gave him my Fridays. While I sat at work thinking I had a wife who actually cared. She stepped closer. He meant nothing. Then why did you do it? I don't know. I felt alone. Bull Shaster's tea. She flinched like I'd slapped her. You felt alone? You? You had a husband who loved you. Who paid the bills. Took care of you. Trusted you. You wanted attention, Rachel. You wanted to feel like you still had options. No, that's not. You didn't feel alone. You felt bored. She broke then. Tears. Real ones this time, maybe. Or maybe they were just part of the script she had rehearsed in the car before coming in. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I don't want to lose you. I tilted my head. You already did. She dropped to the couch, face in her hands. I'll cut contact. I'll go to therapy. Whatever it takes. I walked to the hall closet, pulled out a box, and dropped it at her feet. Your stuff. Pack it. She looked up, shocked. Matt, please. No more talks. No more lies. No more chances. I didn't sleep with him every time. Every time? So there was a first time. She froze. Mouth open. Regret flooding her face too late. I leaned in. You're not sorry you did it. You're sorry I found out. And then I walked to the bedroom, closed the door, and let the silence settle. She left an hour later. Didn't even take everything. The next day, I filed for divorce. My lawyer was sharp. Precise. I handed him screenshots of the hotel stays, her texts, the calendar entries. All lined up. Adultery. He nodded. She's not walking away with anything. Good. I didn't want revenge. I wanted closure. She reached out 3 more times that week. 1 email. 1 voicemail. 1 letter left at the door. I didn't open any of them. I didn't care what she had to say. Because this wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This was who she was when she thought I wasn't looking. And now I was wide awake. It had been almost a month since I last saw her. I thought that would make it easier. That with time, her face would fade, her voice would soften in memory, and the weight in my chest would disappear. But healing isn't some perfect arc. Some days you feel strong. Other days, you catch yourself staring at the wall at 2 a.m. wondering how it all turned to ash. But then came the day I saw her again. I wasn't expecting it. I had just finished grabbing coffee after a gym session, hoodie soaked in sweat, headphones in, not really paying attention to anything except the smell of espresso and the weight of a long week. And then there she was, standing across the street outside a little boutique she used to drag me into. Same long dark hair. Same confident stance. But there was something different. The lightness was gone. She looked older, tired, hollow. For a second, I froze. Then she turned, and her eyes locked on mine. It was like time paused. She gave a tiny wave, hesitant, like she wasn't sure I'd acknowledge her. I didn't wave back. But I crossed the street anyway. Not because I missed her. Not because I wanted closure. But because I wanted to see, with my own eyes, if she still had the nerve to wear that same smirk after everything. She gave a half smile as I approached. Hey, stranger. I kept my arms crossed. Rachel. She looked me over. You look good. I've been good. She blinked a few times, processing the weight behind those words. Listen, I'm not trying to cause a scene. Don't flatter yourself. She winced at that. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Again, I know you didn't read my letter. Nope. I poured my heart into it. You should have poured your honesty into our marriage instead. That shut her up. She fidgeted with the strap of her purse, glancing down at her shoes. The same ones I bought her last Christmas. I miss you, she said finally. And I know you probably hate me. I don't. That seemed to surprise her. I don't hate you, Rachel. That would mean I still care. Now she really froze. The corner of her mouth twitched like she was about to say something, but the words died in her throat. You look like you're doing well, she said softly, trying to recover. I am. I've been sleeping better. Eating better. Laughing again. You know, everything I wasn't doing when I was with you. She let out a shaky breath. You know what the worst part is? I asked. She looked up, already bracing herself. It's not the hotel. It's not even that it was him. It's how easy it was for you to lie. Week after week. Without a blink. Without guilt. She didn't defend herself this time. Just stood there, holding the weight of what she'd become. I think I convinced myself you'd never find out, she admitted quietly. And that's what makes it worse. You didn't stop because it was wrong. You stopped because you got caught. Silence stretched between us. Finally, she said, is there any part of you that still wonders? What if we tried again? I actually laughed. Not even a little. She nodded. Okay. I deserve that. No, Rachel. You deserved worse. You just got lucky that I chose peace. I turned to walk away. She called after me. Matt, wait. Just one last thing. I paused. I never meant to fall out of love with you. I looked over my shoulder. You didn't fall out of love. You fell in love with attention, and you drowned us in it. Then I left. No dramatic goodbye. No hug. No lingering look. Just a quiet, permanent ending on a street we once walked together holding hands. It was a Wednesday night. Quiet. No drama. I'd just come back from the gym, dropped onto the couch, and was halfway through a documentary when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Normally, I don't answer. But something told me to check this one. Hey, this is gonna sound weird, but this is Mark. Yeah, that Mark. Can we talk? For a second, I thought it was a joke. A prank. Or maybe one of Rachel's last desperate moves, using his number to get through to me. But then a second message came through. Look, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I didn't know the whole truth until after. She played both of us. I stared at the screen. The man who helped wreck my marriage was now asking to talk like we were old friends. My first instinct? Ignore him. Block the number. Move on. But curiosity is a dangerous thing. And something about the way he said, she played both of us, kept echoing in my head. So I replied, talk. He responded fast. Can we meet? I'll buy you a drink. No bullsh asterisk tea. Just man to man. Against every instinct I had, I agreed. I wanted answers. Closure. And maybe confirmation that Rachel really was as rotten underneath as she looked on the surface. We met the next evening at a quiet bar outside the city. Neutral territory. I got there early and sat facing the door. He walked in right on time. No smug grin. No arrogance. He looked tired. Like he hadn't been sleeping either. He sat across from me, didn't shake my hand. Didn't even order a drink. Thanks for not punching me in the face, he said. You've got 5 minutes, I replied. He nodded, took a breath, and said, I didn't know she was still married when we started hooking up. I raised an eyebrow. You believe that? He looked down. Yeah. She told me you were separated. Said it was complicated and that you were still living together temporarily. I didn't find out the truth until after you called her out in the restaurant. So you just kept going anyway. No, he said quickly. That night? I walked away. Blocked her number the next day. I don't want anything to do with her. I stared at him. Then he said something that flipped everything upside down. She was seeing another guy too. My heart stopped for a second. What? Yeah, some guy named Trent. I only found out because she texted me by mistake a week before your restaurant ambush. Called me T in the message. Said she missed last Tuesday at the W. I didn't get it at first. Then I asked her about it and she laughed it off. But later I looked it up. W Hotel. She was using the same lies on him, man. I leaned back in my chair, stunned. She wasn't cheating with Mark. She was cheating on Mark. Rachel wasn't a woman in love. She was a serial manipulator. A professional liar. And while I was sitting at home blaming one man for tearing my marriage apart, she was out building a rotation. And I hadn't even scratched the surface. Why tell me all this now? I asked. Mark sighed. Because I needed to know I wasn't crazy. I needed someone else to confirm what I saw. The way she twisted everything made me think I was the one chasing her. Turns out, she was chasing anyone who gave her attention. I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. After a few minutes, he stood up. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I'm not asking for it. But I'm sorry, man. I really am. He left, and I sat there in silence. The betrayal I thought I'd already accepted had just gotten deeper. Rachel didn't just cheat on me. She used me. Used him. Used everyone. It wasn't about love or mistakes. It was about control, power, manipulation. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel hurt. I felt free. Because once you see the monster for what it really is, it can't scare you anymore. I didn't have to destroy Rachel. She did it all by herself. After that conversation with Mark, something inside me fully shut off. It wasn't anger. It wasn't sadness. It was clarity. The kind of calm you feel when you finally stop expecting snakes to stop biting. I stopped checking for texts. Stopped wondering what she was doing. She wasn't a mystery anymore. She was a cautionary tale. But life has a way of circling back. A week later, I got a call from someone I hadn't spoken to in months, Caitlin, one of Rachel's old coworkers. We were never close, but she was always kind to me. One of the few people who looked genuinely disappointed at our wedding when Rachel told the photographer to stop catching her bad side every 5 minutes. "Matt," she said over the phone, "I'm sorry if this is out of line, but I thought you should know." "Know what?" "Rachel got fired. Today." I paused. Fired. Apparently HR found out she was using company travel cards for personal hotel stays. One of the assistants flagged it last week. I didn't say anything. She'd listed them as client meetings, but the locations didn't match any projects. And the charges lined up perfectly with Friday afternoons. Same hotel. Same time frame. I almost laughed. She wasn't just cheating, she was stealing to do it. She really thought she was untouchable, Caitlin added. Walked out with her sunglasses on like she was above it all. But people are talking. Word spreading. That was it. Her job gone. Her reputation? Shattered. I thanked Caitlin, hung up, and just sat there for a while. There was a time when I would have celebrated hearing something like that. Popped a bottle. Called a friend. Maybe even texted her with a final jab. But I didn't feel any of that. I just felt done. The same day, she called me. I didn't answer. Then came a voicemail. "Matt, I know you've probably heard. I lost my job. Things are really bad. I need someone to talk to. Please." 10 seconds later, a second message. "Not even for 5 minutes? After everything we had? You're really going to ignore me now?" "Yes, Rachel." I was. 2 days later, her sister messaged me on Facebook. We hadn't spoken since the divorce. "Hey, Rachel's staying with me for now. She's not okay. She said you blocked her. I'm not taking sides, but she's spiraling. Not my problem anymore." Then came the final message from a burner account. Anonymous profile picture. No name. But I knew it was her. "I never thought you'd be this cold. You won. I lost everything. Happy now?" I stared at it for a while. Then typed one sentence. "You lost everything the moment you thought I wouldn't find out." And hit send. That was the last message I ever sent her. No threats. No insults. Just truth. Sharp, simple, and final. Over the next few weeks, I heard bits and pieces. She tried moving in with a friend, but that didn't last. Someone said she was spotted working part-time at a front desk. Another person mentioned she was going to therapy because everything caught up to her. Of course it did. When you lie long enough, reality eventually kicks the door in. But none of that brought me joy. Because by then, I had already moved on. I had my peace. My apartment. My job. My new circle. My mornings without her perfume choking the air. She tried to drag me into her disaster. And I walked away clean. I didn't need to destroy her life. She built it on lies. All I had to do was wait. It's strange how quiet life becomes once the chaos is gone. You don't realize how much noise betrayal makes, even in silence. It's not the shouting or the accusations. It's the feeling of walking on eggshells, the weight of questions you're afraid to ask, the way your gut whispers while your heart begs it to shut up. But once it's over, really over, there's this silence that settles over everything. And in that silence, you start to understand. I thought I'd walk away from Rachel bitter, angry, hardened. But what I walked away with was clarity. She didn't just cheat on me with another man. She cheated on the life we were supposed to be building. On the loyalty I gave her without hesitation. On the version of herself she pretended to be. And once I stopped mourning that version, I finally saw her for what she was. I don't hate her. Because you can only hate someone if they still hold power over you. She doesn't. But I learned a few things. And I promised myself I'd never forget them. Lesson 1. Never ignore your gut. The truth doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. And if you're not listening, really listening, you'll end up like I did. Sitting across from a woman who's smiling at you while texting her ex under the table. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't gaslight yourself into silence just because you love someone. Love shouldn't require you to abandon your instincts. Lesson 2. People don't slip into betrayal. They walk into it willingly. Rachel didn't make a mistake. She made a decision. Repeatedly. Every Friday. Every hotel keycard. Every lie told with a kiss on my cheek afterward. She knew exactly what she was doing. So when she cried and said, "I didn't mean to," what she really meant was, "I didn't mean to get caught." That's a crucial difference. Lesson 3. Closure doesn't come from hearing, "I'm sorry." It comes from realizing you don't need it. She begged, messaged, left letters, even had her sister reach out. But none of it mattered. Because closure doesn't come from the one who broke you, it comes from the moment you decide you're done bleeding for someone who never brought you bandages. I stopped needing answers. Stopped needing her tears. Stopped needing her to understand what she did. She doesn't have to understand. Because I understand now. And that's enough. Lesson 4. Protect your peace like it's everything, because it is. After she left, my apartment felt too quiet at first. The bed felt too big. The routines felt foreign. But then, I started laughing again, breathing easier, sleeping longer, waking up without dread. Peace isn't loud. It doesn't knock on your door and announce its arrival. It creeps in once the storm clears. And if you're smart, you'll protect it like your life depends on it. Because in some ways, it does. Lesson 5. Know your worth. I spent too long letting her shape the narrative. Too long believing her half apologies. Too long thinking maybe I was overreacting. No more. I know what I bring to the table. Loyalty, honesty, consistency. That's not weakness, that's rare. And if someone can't see the value in that, they don't deserve the seat. So now, I'm rebuilding. Not for revenge, not to show her. For me. The next person who walks into my life will meet a version of me that's stronger, sharper, and no longer negotiates his standards just to avoid being alone. And to any man reading this, if you're in the middle of the storm right now, if you've got that pit in your stomach and the lies are piling up, listen to me. You're not crazy. You're not weak. And you sure as hell don't deserve someone who makes you feel like questioning the truth is the same as causing drama. Ask the questions. Follow the gut. Pack their lies in a box and carry your dignity out the door. You won't regret losing her, but she'll regret losing the version of you that believed in her. And that's a pain she'll feel long after your heart is healed.